Hello, Global Theater. My name is Jerry Fielka. Today is February 3rd, 2022. We want to thank Rob Grant for his amazing podcast. I'm probably wrong about everything, and it's an honor and a pleasure to be here with Robert K. Logan, and there he is with Marshall Mcluhan. How beautiful is that? That's somewhere between 1974 and 1980. So, Bob Logan, take a seat and tell me where you're calling in from.
All right, I'm here in Toronto.
Well, it's an honor and a pleasure. You're one of the.
Here's what's happening in Toronto.
Wow.
We're in Canada.
I am in Venice, California, and our host is in Ottawa. So, Bob, it's a real honor and a pleasure. We're just going to dive right into the depths,
Okay.
The hidden psychic effects. The first question is what is the best thing for a human being?
Love.
What's your favorite form of information? How it comes into you?
It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. Why do you think humans collect or gather information?
They want to know what's happening. They want to be able to navigate the world they live in. Information is a way in which we become informed. Information is a noun, but it's actually a process. It's a process by which we become informed. The stuff in books is not information, it's text. When you read it, it becomes information.
It's good. We're gonna get into this. You're sounding like Bucky Fuller. I seem to be a verb. Well, the next question.
I seem to be a medium.
I seem to be a medium. Yeah, and that can mean medium. There's a lot of ways we can translate medium. But I'm curious. Some of these questions I ask, of course, it depends, and it's a little bit of both. But I'm asking for your hunch, your guess, your impulse. Is this need or want to collect information more innate or more invented?
Innate. Animals do it.
Yeah.
We're animals too, but I mean, subhuman animals.
Yeah.
They are always scanning their environment, becoming informed, and knowing how to interact. That includes bacteria.
Exactly. You know that. We're going to get into science. Do thoughts create emotions?
I'm sorry, I didn't catch that.
Does thinking create emotions?
Well, it depends what you mean by thinking. I would say yes.
Yeah, that's what I'm glad. I'm glad you know how to psychoanalyze.
I'm thinking right now about our conversation, and I'm happy.
Yeah. Oh boy, you're anticipating. You must have ESP. You're anticipating a lot of our questions. Is thinking more innate or more invented?
It's innate.
I don't
Some
know.
thinking is invented.
Yeah.
Some thinking is invented, but it's mostly innate.
Yeah. Fill in the blank, Bob. I don't know what I think until I
think it.
Can humans think without language?
I don't think so. I think that language is well, they can think without language, but the higher forms of thinking requires language.
Really good. What's more fundamental, language or music?
It depends on whether you're a musician or not.
I'm glad you're having fun, Bob. This is what this series is all about. Now, Chomsky says language is not just words. It's culture, tradition, a unification of community, a whole history that creates what a community is. What do you do when language breaks down?
Well, first of all, I have to say that's one of the most intelligent things Chomsky ever said.
Yeah, I yanked the good quotes
The
here and
rest of the stuff I'm not really on board with.
there. Yeah,
But
I tried to
I
set them up.
do like what you just read. Now repeat the question because I'm so involved in the joke that I forgot
Yeah,
the
yeah.
question.
But I want to set it up too, Bob, because I start a lot of my questions with cute quotes, but it doesn't mean you have to apply the quote or say it's in context. You answer the questions in the context you want to. So just
Okay,
to set that up. But the question is, what do you do when language doesn't work? When language breaks down, what do you do?
dance.
Oh my God. I knew you were going to say that. I wanted to get into dance. You know, there's a great saying that goes, I know you're a dancer and a lover of dance. There's a great saying that goes, if you can't say it, sing it. If you can't sing it, dance it.
Right.
Yeah.
I can't sing. I mean, I can sing, but I always sing off key.
Oh, we will get into
But
dance,
I
but
have the moves.
you got the move. Well, do you know one of the greatest lyricists in American music that people don't think is a great lyricist? I think Mcluhan would have freaked on this line. He talked about him. James Brown said, "I've got a move that tells me what to do."
Oh, that's good.
Isn't that a great line?
I like it.
Yep.
Better than Chomsky.
We can put that on the Mcluhan Galaxy. Bob Logan says James Brown is better than Chomsky. Are people,
Chomsky just doesn't have the rhythm.
he's like, yeah, me and you are clunky white guys when we're dancing, but man, at least we got rhythm.
Right.
um, your observations of humans in general, I know it's both and it depends. Are people more thinking beings or more feeling beings?
It depends on the individual.
Yeah.
Some are more thinking, they're constipated mentally. And then there are those that combine feeling with thinking. And then there are the dopes that only have feelings and don't think.
Ah, is that a value judgment?
Well, no, it's just a way of describing some people that get themselves into trouble because they don't think.
Yeah. You know, the Marx brothers were in a jam, and one of them says, "We got to think," and the other one said, "Oh, we already tried that."
Right.
Two questions from Alan
There's
Turing.
another group that's smarter than Chomsky.
Well, I'm a Groucho Marxist, so here's two questions from Alan Turing, 1950. Is thinking a function of the soul?
Well, thinking is what creates a soul.
Nice. Can machines think?
No way.
All right. I love a man who knows what he's talking about. Do you more pursue happiness or more pursue meaning?
Wait, I want to elaborate on the answer.
Go ahead. Can machines think?
With
No.
my colleague in Brazil, Adriana Braga, we wrote a paper about the fact that artificial intelligence is totally artificial. An AI machine can answer some questions, but it can't frame the questions. It has no curiosity. It has no motivation. There's nothing driving it. It only does what its programmers programmed it to do.
Really well put. I hope you hook me up. I want to do my interview with her too. And what I like about AI is if you flip it like Marshall does with the tetrads, it's IA, integral awareness.
Okay,
Isn't that cool?
that's
Okay.
good.
Okay. Do you
Or you're saying that the AI people that think that they can be smarter than humans have it backwards.
that's it. Bob, do you more pursue happiness or more pursue meaning?
Or pursue what?
Meaning.
Meaning?
Yeah.
Well, my happiness is derived from meaning, so I can't separate them.
Okay.
I'm sorry, I got a left brain and a right brain, and they're totally integrated.
Well, don't be sorry. You're probably not one of the dopes because you got them integrated, right?
Yeah,
Well, you know, Rain Man has no corpus callosum. It's fused. That's why he can memorize the whole phone book, but he can't tie his shoes.
right.
Okay, so does the brain more detect consciousness or more create it? Is consciousness bubbling away and we're detecting it, or are we actually creating it?
It's happening simultaneously.
Right. What's faster, speed of light or speed of thought?
Speed of thought.
There's no right or wrong
I
answers.
can think about the outer limit of the universe just like that.
Yeah.
Whereas at the speed of light, to get to the outer universe would take uh, 20 billion years.
Yeah. Well, there's no right or wrong answers to any of these questions, but that one you got right, Bob. Thanks. you okay, this is Audre Lorde, the poet. You can't dismantle the master's house using the master's tools. Her peer Yvonne Rainer responded and said, you can if you expose the tools. What new tool do you suggest?
I'm stumped.
What new
Sorry.
tool? That's all right, but what new tool are you attracted to these days? And even just drop the word tool.
The tool is
I mean,
here.
the tool is here. Yeah, I meant drop the word new. Yeah, the tool is here. You pointed at was that your brain or your
I
mind?
wrote a book called The Extended Mind,
Mind. So you were
in which
pointing
I
at,
say that language is an extension of our mind.
yes. Well, what's the difference between the mind and the brain?
A lot.
Well, just in a
Do
layman's
you want a
one
1 hour answer or do you want a one liner?
a one-liner in layperson's terms.
Ask the question again.
What's the difference between the mind and the brain?
The brain is just an organ in your head, and the mind is the brain plus all the things you do with it.
Ah, that's good. That's like Total Mcluhan. He said the future of the book is the blurb.
Right.
Yeah, just ask Bob. He can condense his whole book like. Whoop.
But the future of the blurb is the book.
That is good, Bob. You know, that's the whole point of Marshall's
In
aphorism.
fact, now this is a commercial, ladies and gentlemen. I wrote a book called Mcluhan in Reverse.
Yeah.
So I just took Mcluhan's statement that the future of the book is the blurb, and I just turned it around in reverse, and we got the blurb as the future of the book.
Yeah. Oh, it's brilliant. Okay, what new toy do you suggest?
Toy?
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't have any toys.
That's all right. What do you worry about when you go to bed at night?
I don't. I don't worry about anything.
What's the difference between worry and concern?
Worry gets you nowhere. Concern is what you need to do what you have to do.
Beautiful. Thanks for being so articulate, Bob. Mcluhan learned from Pound that artists are the antenna of the race. They're broadcasting and detecting the hidden psychic effects of our inventions so we can learn to cope with what we don't like about them. So Marshall's main question was why do humans ignore the hidden psychic effects even though the artists are broadcasting them to us?
Because they're not artists.
That seems elitist, you know. It seems like, why? I mean, go a little wider. If everybody's an artist. I mean, even Joseph Boyce says everybody's an artist. So some people are declaring themselves artists, but isn't that a little elitist? I mean,
Yeah,
why
but
are
some people are good artists and other people are not such good artists. Repeat the question. I'll come up with another thought.
Yeah, why do humans ignore the hidden psychic effects of our inventions even though the artists are broadcasting them to us?
Because they only think of art as something that's aesthetic. They don't
And
realize that the artist is going way beyond just creating something beautiful.
right, they don't realize that. Do artists have a moral obligation?
No.
Do humans have moral obligations?
Well, artists as humans do. Yes, we have moral obligations, like
Yeah.
getting vaccinated.
Yes. Okay, now we're talking for real. Okay, everybody experiences far more than they understand, yet it is experience rather than understanding that influences behavior. Marshall, I want to tell you what I think that means, and then you tell me if I'm sort of in the right realm or something else. If the kid comes in from the cold and the parent goes, "Don't touch the stove, I'll burn your hand," that's talking experiential. If the kid comes in from the cold and the parent goes, "Dude, take your hands and get it close to the stove and go like this, and you'll warm up your fingers," I'm teaching you the dynamics of heat, understanding rather than experience. How do you suss out that Mcluhan quote? Am I onto it pretty much, or is it different? Is he saying that,
Sounds okay. Repeat the quote for me.
yeah, is he saying that understanding should influence our behavior, but experience really is more dominant?
Oh, I agree. Experience, if you think about it, is understanding.
Right. But I'm trying to think there is a difference because he says he's sort of making a difference. I'll tell you the quote one more time. Every
But there are people that have experiences and they don't understand them,
right.
so they learn nothing from their experience.
Right. But he's saying we should emphasize understanding more than experience. Well, it's also T.S. Eliot saying poetry can communicate before it's understood.
I hate to disagree with McLuhan if that's what he said, but I disagree.
Are you more afraid of old ideas or more afraid of new ideas?
I'm afraid of new ones because of the wacky times we're living in, with fascism on the rise in America, in Canada, where I live, and across the world. I
What
don't
can
know
we
what's
do?
happened, but
What can we do about it, Bob? Anything?
vote. Vote the right
Nice.
way. Vote with understanding.
Dude, you're practical.
Call out the fascists.
Call them out.
Call out
Yeah.
the people that are enabling the fascists,
Yeah.
like those members of Congress, those elected officials that can't tell the truth.
Yeah. Okay, here we go. Bob, can you conjure up your earliest memory ever or one of them?
My earliest memory. I forgot.
Is memory more a curse or more a blessing?
A blessing.
Tell me an early role model, someone within your immediate family, then outside your immediate family, just briefly, who had an impact on you, and what specifically was that impact?
Well, in my family, I have to say, my mother taught me aesthetics, and my father taught me practicality, analytics. I
Nice.
can't. I can't make me choose between my mom and my dad.
Dude, that's totally fine. You did great. Now, outside your immediate family, someone who had an impact on you.
Well, as a physicist, it was Victor Weisskopf.
And what did
And
he
as a
do?
media ecologist, it's Marshall McLuhan.
Yeah. Well, let's go with Victor first. How did Victor shape your behavior? What did he do? What was the
He was a
impact?
professor of mine at MIT. He's a famous physicist, and I I was in a course of which there were two sections, and I was not assigned to the section that he was in, that he was teaching. So I went to his class anyway, and I went to him after class, and I said, "I'm not enrolled in your section, but I want to be in your section." And he said, "You're fine. You're in. We'll talk to the secretary and organize it." And then I spent time with him. Um, Most exciting moment in my life as a student at MIT, as a graduate student, was when I went to a Victor Weisskopf talk at Harvard, and he mentioned my work in something called Regipolls. And that was the first acknowledgement of my work coming from a monumental physicist that I looked up to. So he had a big influence on me for physics.
Yeah.
And then in terms of my work as a media ecologist, of course, it's Marshall McLuhan.
But wait, hold the horses on Marshall. We're going to get into them. A few
Right.
more philosophical, phys, other questions. But look at Victor. You really explained that well. Thank you, Bob. Did your parents raise you a particular religion?
Yeah, we're Jewish.
Or do you pray?
Yes. When we have religious ceremonies, when we have a Seder at home, when we sit down on a Friday night,
Yeah.
say the blessings of the wine and on the candles, sure.
If God
I pray
exists,
sometimes. I don't think God is a guy in the sky,
right. But no, I'm just saying if
but
God,
I don't. When I do pray,
yeah. But I'm just saying, just metaphorically, if God exists, what would you like God to say to you after you die?
welcome to heaven.
Beautiful. Do do evil people exist, or does evil use people as a vehicle?
Well, evil people exist. And what was the second part of the question?
Or does evil use people as a vehicle?
Yes.
Yes to both.
Yes
Great.
to
Okay.
both.
Now, this
Both
question,
and. That's my
both
answer.
both and is a good answer. That's great. Both and. Okay. This question I'm going to set up with a few modern thinkers' thoughts. The basic question is, how do you advise someone to deal with an enemy? Alan Watts says, if you acknowledge your enemy, you empower them. Coppola stole from the mob and the samurais, keep your friends close and your enemies closer. JFK said, forgive your enemy, but don't forget their name. And Fellini says, I need an enemy. So you got a lot of quotes, but the basic question is, how do you advise someone, Bob, to deal with an enemy? But first, how would you address the Alan Watts? If you acknowledge your enemy, you empower them.
Well, I agree with Watts on that. Um, if you acknowledge them publicly, yes. But
Public.
I've had a few enemies in my life. Some in the physics department when I I converted to media ecology. Um, and basically, I just went about my business and ignored them.
Yeah, it's great. Now, James Joyce was the first projectionist, ran a cinema in Dublin about 100 years ago called Volta Cinema. He checked out. He said, this is stupid. Why should I go inside a building and see a movie of a tree when I can go outside and see a real tree? Years later, Faulkner said, sometimes the best fiction is more true than journalism. Why do we have to recreate things in order to get them? Why do we have to go to a theatrical play of people acting out life? Why don't we just live life?
Because let's take Shakespeare as an example. He condenses the conflicts between people, and he gives you in 3 hours the benefit of his observation of people during his whole lifetime. So what the artist does is he condenses the experience and gives you something of tremendous value. So you learn more from a play from Shakespeare than you do uh, dealing with some issue that's disturbing you over a period of time. So the artist plays an important role in helping us understand life.
Yeah, it's beautiful. I love your word condensed because that's what John Cage learned from talking to Marshall and studying Finnegan's Wake was you can he's called it writing through. You condense and you satirize.
By the way, John Cage was associated with Merce Cunningham,
Yes.
and I used to take classes with Merce Cunningham when I was a student at MIT.
Yeah, and what was he teaching you? Dance?
What?
What was the class teaching you?
Modern dance.
Oh, you took modern dance from
And I
Merce?
perform modern dance.
Oh my God, that is cool,
My
dude.
the highlight of my career as a dancer was I performed a solo at in Toronto at a festival of the arts, and I was asked to join a group from Paris called Cirque Magique. And they got such a kick out of me, they invited me to come to Paris and join their troupe. But I said, I have a career here. I'm a physics professor.
That was great. I love you, Bob. I love your attraction to dance, and I thought it was just casual, and then now you're saying it's the real deal. So let's just take your career. I know dance that you proved dance was important, but let's take your career as a scientist and as a media ecologist. What first attracted you growing up to go, I'm going to pursue science as a career? And then what made you switch to media ecology? I'm looking for tipping points.
Okay, well, when I was, I think, 10 or 11 years old, I went to the library and got a book out by Einstein and tried to read it. I don't know why. I just heard about this guy and I just wanted to find out what he was all about. And so I always had this interest in understanding how the universe works.
Yeah.
So I was good at math. I got into MIT. I studied physics. I remained at MIT after graduating as a grad student. I made some important discoveries. By the way, physicists make their most important discoveries when they're less than 35 years of age. Then, as a physics prof, I wanted to bring science to humanities students because I thought our politicians know very little about science, and we need to find a way to educate humanities students, non-scientists, about the nature of science. And so I started a course called The Poetry of Physics, and it was successful. And Marshall Mcluhan heard about the Poetry of Physics course. Now, at the same time, I was very interested in future studies. And I was invited to go to New College, and I decided to start a seminar, which I called the Club of Gnu. The Gnu is the mascot of New College, and I was doing a takeoff on the Club of Rome. Club of Rome did a study called Limits to Growth. They sponsored a study called Limits to Growth. And I started a seminar, which was a luncheon seminar. We met once a week. And I started recruiting different profs. And I went to Arthur Porter, who was the chairman of industrial engineering, and told him about my plans to do this seminar. And he said, "Oh, we have to get Marshall Mcluhan involved." And I said, "Wow, that would be fantastic." So then Arthur immediately called Marshall and said, "Hi, Bob Logan here, and he wants to start a future studies seminar." And Mcluhan said, "Bob Logan, that's the guy that teaches the poetry of physics." And Arthur said, "Bob, you teach the poetry of physics?" I said, "Yeah." Mcluhan said to Arthur, "Send Logan over. I want to talk to him." So off I went to meet Marshall Mcluhan. I wonder, what the hell am I going to say to him? And, well, off we went to lunch in the priest's dining room at St. Michael's College. And it was a cafeteria. We carried our trays to the table. As soon as I put my tray down on the table and sat down, Mcluhan said to me, "Well, what did you learn in the poetry of physics?" And I said, "Well, I don't know what I've learned, but here's what I think." And I explained why I thought science had to be integrated with the arts. And somehow we got to talking about the alphabet. And I explained the connection, I thought, between the alphabet and the phonetic alphabet and science. And next thing we know, well, by the time lunch was finished, we had the ideas for a paper. The paper that we wrote within a week was called Alphabet Mother of Invention. And the idea is that the phonetic alphabet, monotheism, codified law, abstract science, and deductive logic are 5 ideas that developed between the Tigris-Euphrates River and the Aegean Sea. In Mesopotamia, they came up with codified law. In Israel, monotheism. The Greeks came up with logic and abstract science. I think I missed one. There's 5 of them.
But that's all right, Bob. What you're doing is, I don't want to repeat stuff you've already
So anyway,
done, but in your
that
book,
started my
that was
started my work with Mcluhan.
right.
So for the 6 years I spent with Mcluhan, I was a double agent. I did physics, theoretical physics, and in elementary particles, and I worked with Marshall.
That is amazing. How
And
many?
we wrote a book together called The Future of the Library. And we were working on a book called The Alphabet Effect, which I had to write by myself. And then towards the end of my time with Marshall, he got a stroke and he was out of commission and he passed away. So I decided that my best days as a physicist are already behind me.
Boom.
And I was making a great contribution with Marshall, and so I switched fields.
Now that was brilliant. You summarized it well, Bob. One thing is, the future of the library ever going to come out? Did you read
It's out.
under that title?
Yes, The Future of the Library.
And it says written by Bob Logan and Marshall Mcluhan.
Right.
Okay. Thank you. Now, one thing is, how many times you meet with Marshall in those 6 years, would you say? Hundreds or?
Yeah, hundreds.
Hundreds. You're born in 1939, the year Finnegan's Wake came out. I asked you this before. Did you ever read Finnegan's Wake out loud with Marshall in a group, with a group of people?
Yes, but I tried to read James Joyce. Didn't make any sense to me.
Right, but what do you think? What was the impact specifically Finnegan's Wake had on Marshall? Any guess?
Oh, well, he liked the way James Joyce played with language.
Yeah.
Marshall loved playing with language.
Yeah.
And I guess I was a good guy in his book because I combined poetry and physics.
Well, let's go back to poetry. What's the function of poetry?
Poetry comes from the Greek word to make, poesis. Autopoiesis is the way life creates itself. So Poetry is not just, verse that rhymes. Poetry is making. And people make things with words, with language. By the way, this is an interesting story. You can't ask all the questions you should.
Go ahead, Bob.
But talking about poetry and autopoiesis, I worked with a fellow named Stuart Kaufman, who's one of the leaders in systems biology. I used to go to conferences on systems thinking. Marshall Mcluhan was a systems thinker. And in fact, his professor, I.A. Richards, made one of the most important contributions to systems thinking because he came up with the idea of feed forward. We all know what feedback is. When something happens, the information, you get back the information from the effect. But feed forward was, for I.A. Richards, in order to be understood, you have to feed forward the context of what you're saying, which is what I'm doing right now. Yeah. I'm feed forwarding you the context. So I'm with this systems thinker, Stuart Kaufman, one of the top guys in the field. And we're talking about, we're at a conference on systems biology. And Stuart says to me, Bob, what's systems biology anyway? I said, Stuart, what do you mean? You're the expert in the field. Why are you asking me? And then all of a sudden, Mcluhan's idea that the medium is a message comes into my head. And I said, well, self-organizing is the medium. It's how you organize things. And then Kaufman goes, oh my God, that's the answer to a question I've been thinking about. And we started working on a paper called Propagation of Organization.
And so you're saying self-organizing is the medium? Is that what you said?
Something like that. I don't remember the exact words, but
basically, yeah.
Well, but he asked me the question, what is systems biology? And my mind shot to Mcluhan, the medium is the message.
Yeah. No, that's good.
And as a result of that, we developed a paper that was published in a systems biology journal. And by luck, I've made an important contribution in the field of systems biology. And I never took a biology course in my whole life.
That is good. That was perfect. Let's go back to poetry for a second, Bob. You really get what I'm after. I really appreciate how you articulate you are. But there's two things about poetry. I'm curious just to get your what it means to you. Gary Snyder, the beat nature poet, said, "My task as a poet entails seeing the world without language, then bringing that seeing into language." Any comment?
I think that's an very excellent definition of poetry.
Yeah. Now, Leo Bersani studied Mallarmé, the symbolist poet, big influence on Marshall symbolist poetry. Louis' comment was, "The very crises which threatens the writing of poetry sustains poetic composition."
I'll go along with that.
It seems like seeking out the hidden psychic effects of our inventions, which I think was one of Marshall's main things. Let's uncover the hidden psychic effects, sustains media ecology, sustains the very act we're doing. Would you say that?
Yeah. And I would say that poetry is not just lines that rhyme.
Yeah.
And it's not just blank verse. I would claim that a lot of my papers are poetry, including my book, The Poetry of Physics.
Yeah, well, that's what people don't realize. I think it was great when that Lost Tetrads book came out because Eric said, tetrads are a cross between poetry and hieroglyphics.
Okay.
I mean, you should join. We do 4 Zooms a week with people, and all we do is Zooms on every current thing that pops up, you know, and it's amazing how much fun we have. It's not like deep analysis. It can get there, but it's also poetic and hieroglyphic and fun, you know. So, a screenwriting teacher told me great art is when you can clearly see the intention of the maker. Kubrick says the opposite. Great art or great film or great poetry and physics books are great when you cannot see the intention of the maker. What role does intention play in your creative process, being a media ecologist and writing a lot of books?
Well, sometimes the things I produce are with intention, and sometimes they happen unintentionally.
Yeah.
Like when I told Stuart Kaufman, the medium is the message.
Yeah.
Um, or when I sat down with Marshall and I started explaining um, the poetry of physics to him.
Yeah.
I didn't have an intention. I mean, I was caught off guard. Uh, I'm told Marshall McLuhan wants to have lunch with you. Go see him.
Yeah.
So I thought, oh, what am I going to? I thought to myself, what am I going to say to Marshall McLuhan? Well, I got there and he just started asking questions and I just responded.
What's your
That's the way
intention?
you and I are interacting now.
Right, but what's your intention when you started going into modern dance? What was your intention? Is there any?
Oh, because I wanted to be a modern dancer.
But
I used
why?
to go to the
Why?
modern dance concerts and I loved what they did. And I
Yeah.
thought, I'd like to do that.
You mean you were seeing Martha Graham? Who were you seeing?
I didn't hear you.
Were you seeing Martha Graham modern dance? Who were you seeing before Merce?
Oh yeah, I saw Martha. I met Martha Graham
Right.
in
Yeah.
a dance concert in New York. I was introduced to her.
Yeah.
I had living in Boston. I had a lot of friends from New York, and I would go down to New York, and I would spend time going to modern dance concerts.
Yeah.
And I just loved that art form, and I wanted to do it myself. So I saw when I saw a poster saying Merce Cunningham is giving master classes,
Yeah.
and it was something at the time very affordable for me as a graduate student. I don't know, it was like $10 a lesson. I went, oh my God, I'd pay that much and more just to watch modern dance concerts. So I went.
Why don't you do it? But were you a swing dancer too, or were you swing a rock and roll dancer? Were
I
you
was never
doing?
rock and roll.
You
I
do
was
popular
too
dance?
old for rock and roll.
But did you do popular
Oh
dance?
yeah, I did popular dances, waltz,
Swing,
rumba, swing,
waltz, and rumba. Okay.
jitterbug. I
Yeah.
was a good jitterbugger.
Jitterbug. Okay. So now back to when you're
Hey,
create when you
what's your? How old are you? I'm
I was
82.
born in 53.
You're a youngster.
I know.
I was born
But
in 39.
you know,
Well,
man, you're
I hated rock and roll.
that's all right.
I
Now
was
what
a
when you
jazz enthusiast.
oh, I'm a huge jazz guy too. That's fine. Now, when you're writing a book, you've written over 12 books. When you're writing a book, how much are you thinking of your reader? Duchamp said there's no art without an audience. How much do you think of your reader while you're writing your book?
I'm thinking about myself to express my ideas.
Yeah.
And I never start out to write a book. I just write papers. And after I write a number of papers, I say to myself, that's a book.
I see. That's beautiful. So,
So,
what
like
was
the book with Marshall. Oh, that's a great story. So, we wrote this paper called Alphabet Mother of Invention. And then Marshall said, Bob, I just got a whole publisher is interested in our work. Come next Monday, and he'll publish. We'll get him to publish our book on the alphabet.
yeah.
So I come to the meeting, and we pitch our idea about a book on the alphabet. And the acquisition editor says, well, I think we have two books here. The book you want to do on the alphabet, and the book I came to ask you to write, which is a book about the library.
Right.
And Marshall's face sunk, and I, because of my father teaching me about how to be a salesman, I turned to the acquisition editor and I said, what kind of library would you have without the alphabet? How would you organize the books? And then the acquisition editor says, well, I think we have a third book here. You guys can write a book on the future of the library and how the alphabet plays a role in it. And Marshall said, okay, what's the advance? And the guy said, $6,000. And Marshall said, oh, good. And I said, wait a minute. He has his following. I have my following. So then the acquisition editor said, okay, we'll make it 9,000. After the acquisition editor left, Marshall said, Bob, how did you know how to do that? I said, my father taught me, never take the first offer.
That is great. Never take first offer. And what do you think Marshall was highly influenced by Howard Gossage? Do you know that whole story?
Gossage. No, Gossage was a promoter, and he saw Marshall as someone he could promote. He was an advertising guy.
Right, but he helped Marshall get pop.
Yeah, and he helped himself as well.
Yeah. Did you ever meet Howard Gossage?
No.
Oh. Okay, so onward and upward. What's the motive of the cave artist? Not what anthropologist, just your hunch.
The cave artist?
Yeah.
To express his inner feelings about the animals he has to kill to eat. He loves those animals. He worships them. And he created icons of them.
To express the inner feelings of the animals.
No, to express his inner feelings for the animal.
Oh, to express his inner feelings for the animals he kills. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
because
so
the animals give him life.
Yeah.
So they become God.
That's good.
And the animals created us in their image. We have eyes, we have a nose, we have mouth, we have legs.
Yeah. Well, Bob Dobbs, he said that Marshall converted to Catholicism as a performance art piece. In Eric's, when I repeated it to Eric, he sort of snickered a little. But I know it's kooky sounding, but what do you think of that line? And then why do you think Marshall converted to Catholicism?
I don't think Bob Dobbs got it right. It's a valid
hunch,
a valid speculation. But I think he converted because he's so goddamn crazy. And he needed something to keep him in line.
Wow. Do you think Marshall sort of overthought and that he blew the circuits on his brain?
Yeah, he was going crazy. He had so many ideas, and lived in a world where people were not that receptive to his crazy ideas.
But in the long run, him doing that, we all profited or got it. So he's sort of like, in other words, if you was a shrink, would you say, hey, calm down and do less ideas, or you just say go for it?
I didn't understand the question.
Well, if you're Marshall's shrink, and he's got so many ideas, and you use the word crazy, but
I don't mean crazy, insane. I mean crazy, like comes up with so many crazy, wonderful ideas.
That's what I mean, in a good way. He was
Yeah.
crazy with so much ideas. So there was no stopping it. We couldn't say, Marshall, zoom, calm down or zoom in on your crazy ideas and you'll live longer.
No, I think his ideas were crazy in the sense that other people thought they were crazy. As it
Yeah.
turns out, they were correct.
Yeah.
Uh,
Really.
and I never figured out why he became a Catholic. It was a mystery to me. I have a good story about that, though. Uh, the second time we went to lunch, I told you we eat lunch in the priest's dining room. And the second time we go to lunch, we pass by St. Basil's Church. And Marshall says to me, Bob, I'd like to go to Mass. It's only about 15 minutes. Why don't you go to the lunchroom and wait for me, and I'll join you in 15 minutes? I said, Marshall, I'll join you in the church. Now, Marshall knew I was Jewish. And Marshall said, really? I said, yeah. So there we sat, best friends, praying. He was praying for his salvation, and I was praying to understand what he said that morning.
That is beautiful. Is that documented somewhere? Is that
Yes, I wrote it in Mcluhan Misunderstood.
Oh, good. Okay, so a couple of my film heroes have these mantras. Ignore yourself. Jonas Mika says there is no self-expression.
By the way, wait. The
Go ahead.
reason I pull up these stories from the past,
Yeah.
it's like Marshall used to do that too. He had a group of jokes that he would use.
Oh, yeah.
So I have a bunch of experiences with Marshall that I use when
Yeah.
I'm being interviewed about him.
Yeah. No, it's good.
Excuse me 1 second. I'm getting a call from somewhere.
Put it on.
I can let it go.
Put it on mute.
My wife is away in Germany, and if she were to call, I would have to just tell her. I'll
Okay.
call her back. Okay.
Thanks. Okay, so I no, I understand that. And so these two modern thinkers say, ignore yourself, there's no self-expression. Cecil Taylor, the great jazz pianist, said, I'm just a vehicle and this stuff just comes through me. So is art making, book writing, more self-expression or more your vehicle for whatever culture or technology is dominant? I know it's both, but
It's
what's your
just a lot of hard work.
Wow. Can art making be egoless?
No.
Was Freud right?
Was he right? He was neurotic.
But back to the question, was he right?
Was he right about what?
Well, you're answering a question with a question, Bob. You win. That's what this is all about.
Yeah, I'm Jewish. How does a Jew answer a question with another
That's
question?
you got it. That's it. But I'm
What's
just
your
saying,
background, Fialco?
I'm a Roman Catholic.
Italiana?
No, Czechoslovakian. They call me Bounce because I'm one bad Czech.
Okay.
Okay, so what's
You're a
more?
Chesky Hoke.
What's that mean?
You're a Czechoslovakian boy.
Hok, H-O-K?
I don't know how to spell it. I just heard it said.
Checky Hoke is a Czechoslovakian boy. Okay.
How about Yakshimada?
Yakshimaksh means how are you? Dubžek
Right.
means
Good for you.
That's half Polish, half
I
Russian.
have a little hobby. I have in Toronto, you get students from all over the world. So I learned a phrase from each of their languages. At one point, I had about 45 languages I could greet my students in.
That's smart. That's like Finnegan's Wake. He uses over 65 languages in one book.
I'm no James Joyce. I only got up to 45.
Yeah. Well, I'm curious why we're on that for a second. Why do all the media ecology people so much, they don't like Finnegan's Wake and they really lean more towards Neil Postman than they do Marshall.
Because they were Neil Postman's students.
Okay, that's enough. We don't have to go there anymore. What's more important? I know it's both and it depends, but your overall philosophy, Bob, what's more important, conviction or compromise?
Conviction.
It-
I never compromised. I had academic freedom. They didn't want me to stop doing physics and do media ecology, and I didn't compromise. I stuck to my conviction that I had an important contribution I could make in media ecology, and my best years as a physicist were behind me, which is the case just about every physicist that ever was.
Okay, but how many years you been married?
Which time?
Oh, how many marriages have you had?
I've been married twice, 20 years each.
20 years each. Okay. In marriage, what's more important, conviction or compromise?
Compromise.
You've accomplished a lot in your life, Bob. It's an honor to talk to you. Rate these three elements in your success: luck, skill, and ambition. What played the biggest role, second and third?
Skill, ambition, luck.
Is loyalty based on reason?
Is what based on reason?
Loyalty.
No, it's emotion.
T.S. Eliot said poetry's outing your...
Loyalty is based on love,
Yeah.
and love has got nothing to do with reason.
Really, really well
Have
put.
you been married?
Yes, I've been married 21 years. Yep. Yeah, I'm lucky. I've got a great wife. So T.S. Eliot said poetry is outing your inner dialogue. What language is your inner dialogue in?
I don't know what the question means.
What form is your inner consciousness in?
Stream of consciousness.
Nice. Is perception reality?
Perception is an important part of reality, but it is modified by conception.
Nice. In a few sentences in layperson's terms, Marshall talked about percept and concept. What's the difference?
Percept is what the effect is of you on the things that you perceive. And concepts are the things you think. And he always believed that percepts were more important than concepts. He was interested in what were our perceptions as a result of the media, not what the content of the medium was, which is the concept, but what was the effect of the medium independent of its content. I got another thought about percept and concept. Your concepts do have an effect on your percepts. In fact, that's an interesting question. I got to write that down. That's a great question you just asked.
Yeah, to put in layperson's terms, because here's how I explain it. You tell me if I'm on the right.
Wait, hang on. I got just a moment. Time out.
Yeah.
Give me a chance. What the hell?
You mean you're typing or are you using a pencil? I thought you were a pencil guy.
Well, I got the computer in front of me. I don't want to get up. I'm so comfortable here.
Yeah, because I was watching a video of you
versus
14 years ago, and you said you don't have a cell phone. I don't have a cell phone now. Are you still without a cell phone?
Yeah, I'm without a cell phone.
Oh, no. Well, you mean your wife didn't call you on your cell?
My wife called me on our landline.
Wow, you still don't have a cell. I am impressed, Bob. That's amazing.
Let's see, concepts.
What is the difference?
Effect.
Yeah.
What you perceive. Jerry F. Interview.
Yeah, it's all going to
Okay,
be
I'm fine now. Oh wait, I
Okay.
gotta save this file.
Yeah, you can go back and watch it. It's the 100 it's the 60-minute point in our video, which will be on YouTube forever.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah. So, Bob, this is how I explain it in layperson's terms. Percept is intuition, feeling, um, emotion, hunch, guess. Concept is thinking linear.
All right, repeat it again, please.
Percept is intuition, feeling, impulse.
Yes.
Concept is thinking linearly. Is your
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Okay, here's
I'll
a
go along
doozy.
with that one.
Okay, here's a doozy because we want to say, oh, you're conscious. You have higher consciousness, or you've raised your consciousness. Now, Marshall
I don't
asks,
think consciousness is higher or lower.
okay, higher or lower. Okay. But let me ask you this question that Marshall asked, tell you how I sort of figure out the difference, and then let you go for it.
All right.
Here's Marshall's question. How about technologies as the collective unconscious and art as the collective unconsciousness? So he's basically saying technology is one thing, art is another thing. Then he's saying conscious, that technologies are collective unconscious and art is collective unconsciousness.
I like your question, and I can't come up with an answer because it's a very deep question.
Right.
Could you email me a question and I'll
Oh
come
yeah,
back to you?
I'll email it to you. We'll continue discussion.
Email me the question, and maybe we'll write a paper together.
I would love that, Bob, because here's the thing. What's the difference between art and science? In layman's terms, layperson's terms.
Well, the scientist makes more money.
No, that okay, what else is the difference in layperson's terms between art and science?
Okay, I'm still laughing at my joke. We have a great interaction, Jerry, you and I.
Oh no, and you know the guy I interviewed 2 days ago, I says, "What's the best thing for a human being?" He goes, "If you can crack yourself up, if you can make
Right.
yourself laugh."
Laughter is, I'm just doing an article about the joke as a medium.
Oh yeah, joke as medium. Well, what's the function of laughter?
It makes you healthy.
Healthy, because you know what Gurdjieff, the Sufi, said, laughter is the reconciliation of yes and no.
Okay. All right, let's get back to the question again.
How about well, what you already we'll get to it, but what's the difference between art and science? Because you're
Oh,
both.
the difference in art and science, right.
Yeah.
Well, both are hypotheses. Both create hypotheses. The science hypothesis has to be falsifiable. The artist's hypothesis can never be false.
That is good. Can never be false. Because Marshall said, you'll love this. Anne Warhol said, art is anything you can get away with.
Right.
And my friend said, that sounds like Trump.
Yeah. But he's not going to get away with it.
Well, let's hope not. Yeah, well, who knows? But he might. Do you believe in karma?
I never met him.
Yeah, this great jazz singer
Yeah, I
said,
believe in karma.
this great jazz singer said, "Draw me a road map."
But
but
let's go back to that idea.
art and science.
Yeah,
Well, the
yeah.
book.
The scientist always has to make a statement that's false, that's
Yeah,
falsifiable.
yeah,
The artist um, can never create anything that is false.
yeah. No, you made that clear. We'll go farther. Now, I'm always curious about Mcluhan's obsession with Finnegan's Wake, and he said that artists dream awake. And again, I don't want to be sound elitist. I think everybody's capable, but everybody creates these huge scenario, these amazing scenarios at night while they're sleeping. But artists also can do that while they're awake. So it's like artists dream awake.
Well, so do scientists.
That's what I was just going to say. How have dreams played a role in your creative process?
Yes, of
Also,
course.
in your creative process as a scientist, but also have you had Mcluhan dreams? Like, have you ever had dreams where you and Mcluhan do
Yeah,
something? Yeah,
right. Very sweet dreams. And dreams, I dream awake and asleep.
yeah, yeah. Because you're an artist too. I mean, if you started,
Well, thank you. I never would call myself an artist, but I'll accept it.
but I mean, have you ever written creative poetry, essays, or you always?
I dance.
That's what I mean. You have that in dance. Yeah.
I write with my body.
Yeah. Okay, you're
I tried
writing.
writing poetry and it was okay, but nothing to write home about.
Okay, now let's do the Mcluhan. Everything we invent extends some humanness. What does the writing utensil, whether it's the pen or the keyboard, extend for you? What humanness?
It sends my voice.
Yeah. Moshe Feldenkrais works with healing and movement.
Who
He's
works in healing and movement?
His name is Moshe Feldenkrais. If you break your back, you'll eventually get to him. You should look him up. He's really
Mochi Feldman.
Moshe. I'll send it to you. Moshe Feldenkrais. Feldenkrais. He says, here's the thing I'm trying to communicate. He says, it's literally possible to identify a weakness and incorporate it to become a strength rather than we're normally taught to overcome a weakness. Tell me a weakness you turned into a strength.
Oh my God. I can't think of any weaknesses.
It's sort of like the same thing as Marshall saying break down into a breakthrough. You know,
Weaknesses that transformed into a strength.
yeah, like a breakdown that you turned into a breakthrough, a rejection you turned into a redirection.
I draw a blank. Sorry.
That's all right. Don't be sorry. It's fine. Lewis Carroll says, I believe as many as 6 impossible things before breakfast. Have you believed in any impossible things lately?
I believe America will not become a fascist state.
Very good. You know, Sun Ra, the great jazz shaman, said, the impossible tracks me because everything possible has been done and the world didn't change.
Terrible what's going on.
Well, we talked about that and you said vote. You know, we can do things to
Yeah, but
yeah,
it's worse than COVID.
yeah. It's worse than COVID, I believe you. Okay, Bob,
what has to happen is the Republicans have to be vaccinated with truth serum.
I like that. Okay, let's do a couple political questions then. Okay, anarchy is making rules for yourself, not others. That's the great Utah Phillips activist folk singer. So it's, poetic. Who is entitled to make the rules?
Nobody. The
Wow.
collective, the collective of the society. But the problem is, what happens when the collective goes bad?
Yeah.
Like in Nazi Germany,
Yeah.
there was the Hitler got voted in,
Yeah. What?
but there was some manipulation. He didn't win a majority. The people that were in power thought, we don't want the liberals to get into power, so they said, we'll support this crazy guy Hitler. He'll be easy to manipulate.
Yeah.
Just like the Republican Party said, Donald Trump will win for us. We can control him.
Yeah.
And he completely flipped that around. And he controls the Republican Party.
Yeah. But let's carry on. Listen, Bob, this is interesting. I'd love to hear your take on this. Famous socialist John Basil Barnhill. Where the people fear the government, you have tyranny. Where the government fears the people, you have liberty. 2005 film V for Vendetta paraphrased that quote. People should not be afraid of their governments. Governments should be afraid of their people. How do you personally handle false fears like the war on drugs or the war on poverty or the war on terrorism?
It bewilders me that they come up with these kind of ridiculous.
But how do you handle personally false fears? I know it's ridiculous they do that, but people go, we have to have a war on drugs. Here's a great Mcluhan line. A guy who worked for the government, the US government, and says, you can't have a war on drugs because drugs don't fight, and you can't say no to drugs because drugs don't talk.
Correct.
So I'm just saying, you personally, how do you personally handle false fears?
I deny them.
Yeah.
And I'm not afraid.
Yeah. What does courage mean to you now?
Tell the truth.
Are you for or against the death penalty?
Against.
What's the difference
Although
between
sometimes I wish I was for it.
Yeah. That is well, my
But
friend.
but if you murder one person, you can murder any person.
Yeah. No, my friend had a great solution. He said, on your driver's license, you say for or against death penalty. And then if you kill someone and they're going to kill you, if you're for it, then you get killed. If you're against it, they can't kill you.
Right.
That's pretty good method. Okay, what's the difference between rights and responsibilities?
Right and responsibility.
Like you have a right.
You ask some hard questions.
Bob, you're a scientist and a media ecologist.
Okay, the difference between right and responsibility is right is a privilege and responsibility is a duty.
Good. What's the difference between rebellion and revolution?
Rebellion is just being a shit disturber without having any real purpose.
Wow. Okay.
And a revolution means you want to make a positive change.
Positive change. That's beautiful. So, this basic question is, does punishment work? And I'll set it up. When a criminal gets caught, Do they go, "Oh, I did something morally and socially wrong," or did they go, "My criminal skills weren't up to snuff that day"? So it's into someone I'm curious if you ever discussed with Marshall, Gregory Bateson, the double bind. Pay no attention that I'm lying to you. So the basic question is, does punishment work?
Yes, it works.
Yeah. And did you ever discuss Bateson with Marshall or study him?
No,
Yeah. Do you believe in life after death?
I believe in life after birth.
That is good. Can you forget to die?
I'm trying to.
Nice. Okay. So I talked to the great filmmaker Michael Apted. It goes on and on to set up the question, but he basically said, "Why do rock video editors feel so obliged to edit fast?" So you know this because if you watch movies or TV, the editing pace, rapid montage is increased. They cut a lot faster.
Yeah.
He said, because humans can learn to take in information faster. I asked the question with a bias. Can humans literally learn to take in information faster, or are we just brainwashed to believe we can?
I don't think we can take it in faster.
Yeah.
But, well, I guess in a way, digital media is a training ground to be able to see connections faster.
Yeah.
So I think yes. So answer. I'm going to change my answer. Ask
Okay.
the question again.
Now that you changed it, fine. You did it. But here's the hidden question really is, can humans literally multitask?
I'm doing it right now.
Yeah, I know. You're checking your email while you're being
I'm being brilliant for you, and I'm enjoying myself, and I'm relaxed.
Okay, just a few more. We got 15 more minutes. Can you hang in there?
I can hang in there.
Good. Can you go
Let
longer?
me let me get some peanuts.
All right.
Whenever I need a snack,
Anger can be a
I'm
productive.
gonna have cashews instead.
Okay, I
They're
like
old.
that. Pass me one through the 3D printer of this
Hey, can I
Zoom.
show off my wife's paintings?
Sure.
These are my wife's paintings.
Beautiful.
This one is Chagall,
Nice.
and the picture of me and Mcluhan was done by my wife.
Oh, that is nice, Bob.
And here's another Chagall lithograph,
Nice.
and another Chagall lithograph.
Beautiful. Well, you'll love, you know what either Cezanne or Matisse said, when you paint your painting and you put it in the bushes, if it blends in, it's a good painting.
Right. I agree.
Okay, anger can be a productive emotion when fill in the blank.
When you're angry.
Ah, Swift compared satire to a mirror in which people could see every face but their own. Can satire be destructive?
Satire should reveal your own shortcomings.
Yeah. But you know, my friend, when I asked him, can satire be destructive? Most people go, yeah, you know, you do the wrong cartoon in some country and they kill you. They think death is destructive. But he said that is the job of satire, is to be destructive. You know,
Yeah.
you would agree?
Yeah, it's to reveal the shortcomings that you see by making fun of them.
Right, because I think Marshall's quoting Steve Allen is important. Behind every joke, there's a grievance.
Right.
Yeah. What's the most significant difference between men and women, physical aside?
In today's climate, I refuse to answer that question.
You're a smart man. What caused matriarchy?
What caused what?
Matriarchy.
What causes matriarchy?
What caused it? Yeah.
Mothers.
Yeah. You mean biology caused it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, this is an interesting question in regards to Marshall saying, just because I bring something up doesn't mean I like it or I dislike it. He wants to just study things, ideas, right? He doesn't want to have it like I love TV or I hate TV. One of the most important things I've learned from studying Mcluhan is like you can go into your lonely teenage room and go, I hate Facebook or I love it. But if you're with a few other people, if you want to suss out how Facebook is running the world, you're not going to take a point of view. Understanding is not a point of view.
True.
Okay. You
I
create
have no point of view on that last question.
You create what you resist. I'm not saying you, Bob, but this is a saying that's what you resist persists. In fact, Bob Goldthwait, the comedian, morphed it into you are what you hate. And James Joyce said, it's a curious thing how your mind is supersaturated with the religion in which you say you disbelieve. But Louis Buñuel nailed it. He said, thank God I'm an atheist. So,
well, James Joyce was fighting his Catholic background his whole life.
Right. But indeed, that's what I'm saying. This idea, one creates what one resists. Any comment on that?
I don't know. I can't think of anything I created was due to something I resisted.
Right.
Except I resisted being ignorant.
Right. You resisted being ignorant. So you studied ignorance?
No, I just studied and eliminated the ignorance.
What's the difference between ignorance and stupidity?
Ignorance can be forgiven, stupidity not.
Wow. I heard forgiveness is the key to the universe. What do you think of that?
I'm not a Christian.
Wow. Because Mark Twain said, forgiveness is the smell that the flower releases when it's stepped on by the foot.
There are some things I cannot forgive.
Yeah, I understand.
I can't forgive Donald Trump's behavior.
No, I understand. But again, do you hate Donald Trump?
I wouldn't give him the honor.
Yeah, that's Sam Goldwyn. Sam Goldwyn said it best. He says, as for your critics, don't even ignore them.
Right.
Exactly. But is hate more culturally learned or is it innate in humans?
Hey, now I've got a question for you.
Okay, but wait.
I'm turning the table on you. Go ahead. Okay.
No, let's do that one first. Is hate more innate or invented?
Is what?
Is the act of hating, is hate more innate or more invented?
Innate.
Is it really? Okay, go ahead. Ask you your question.
I am the editor of a journal called Explorations Studies. Oh my God.
I know it.
New Explorations Studies in Culture and Communication.
I work with Clinton. I know all about it.
So I'd like you to write an article for it.
Oh, I could write a lot of articles. I got a bunch. I'd love it. Thank you. I'm honored that you brought it up. I'd love it.
Because I'm expecting to hear from you. Do you have my email address?
I got it all, Bob. I'll write it.
All right. I want an article.
The great thing is take one of my questions and go through all these media ecologists I've asked and compare their answers. There's a million things.
I wonder if we could put this interview in the journal.
Oh, we can do anything we want. I mean, it's endless. Okay, here's a couple.
Ask Clinton. Are you in touch with Clinton?
I work with Clinton. He usually hosts these. He's a great guy. Clinton's great. You're lucky.
Anything I could do to help this guy make a living, I would do.
I will talk about that another time. I'll tell you all my ideas about Clinton. Yeah, Clinton's a great guy. You know, we have
I
a
love Clinton. I think he's a wonderful guy.
he's wonderful. And listen, we have a Laws of Media reading club once a week, and Clinton is the star. We got some real heavy literature scholars.
So invite me to join.
It's every Wednesday morning at 8:45 a.m. Pacific time. So that would be 11:45 a.m. You can join us every. It's
Yeah, so
really.
send me the URL.
I will send you the link every Wednesday
Send me the
morning.
link. And you do
Yeah,
it every Wednesday?
every Wednesday morning. It's really deep. It's a
I
great
just
group.
missed yesterday.
Yeah, you just missed it. Yeah, and Clinton was there, and he's in. Okay, let's do a couple more of these questions. How do you find peace of mind?
I never lost it.
You know, this is a joke you'll love. I wish Marshall knew this. Maybe he did. The kid learns that the dad has a job. You know, he gets to the point where he goes, "Oh, my dad goes to work and he makes money." And his dad's an art teacher. So he says to his dad, "Well, what do you do for your job, Dad?" And he goes, "Well, I teach people how to draw." And the kid goes, "You mean they forgot?" Okay, if you were walking down the street today and you met yourself as a 12-year-old, what would you say to your 12-year-old self?
Hmm. Learn as much as you can so you can survive when the climate change hits us.
Beautiful. Bob, I asked for 90 minutes. Can you go another 10 or 15?
If we take a break, give me a moment. I have biology to worry about.
Take a break and I'll talk to people about your career.
Oh, I want to hear that.
You can hear it. Don't worry. Go take your break and I'll read from your resume.
I
This
know what I'll do.
you'll monitor it. As Bob Logan takes his break, let's remind you he's worked as a professor of physics at the University of Toronto since 1967.
I know this story.
He's worked in elementary particle physics from 65 to 82. And in 74, he began a collaboration with Marshall Mcluhan that lasted until Marshall's passing in 1980, after which he devoted himself to research in media ecology, communication studies, complexity theory, information theory, biology, environmental science, linguistics, and industrial design. He received his BS. What's that stand for? And PhD. What's that stand for? In physics in 61 and 65 from MIT. He has a postdoc at University of Illinois, 65 to 67. He's been in Department of Physics in U of T since 67. And he's still teaching his course, The Poetry of Physics, there. That's what incited Marshall to get a hold of this whippersnapper. He's published over 100 academic papers and 12 books. Okay, I'm going to skip down to this amazing quote. Bob Logan said, Darwin's notion of evolution applies not only to biology, but also to the evolution of language, culture, economics, governance, technology, and science, and therefore, in a certain sense, is epigenetic. While I believe that epigenetics is absolutely essential for understanding biological evolution, I also believe that neo Darwinism still has value and explains many things. As a former quantum physicist, I have no, I can't even pronounce that word. I got a good education, but I mispronunciated it. I have no problem simultaneously supporting the second wave or the third wave. His books include 2007, The Extended Mind, The Emergence of Language, The Human Mind and Culture, The Sixth Language, that's 2000, Learning a Living in the Internet Age. And how about this one? 1914, What is Information? Propagating organization in the biosphere, the symbosphere, the technosphere, and the econosphere. Boy, that's a lot to say. He co-authored this book with Stuart Kaufman, and he suggests that information is not an absolute, depends on the context in which it is being discussed. We claim that the information is biotic system, that information in biotech system and Shannon information are quite different, and that biotech information arises as natural selection, assembling the very constraints on the release of energy that then constitute work and the propagation of organization. The nature of information in the biosphere, the symbo, techno, econosphere is then examined. Boy, are you there yet? Are you back yet, Bob?
I'm back, but I'm eating some.
Okay, that's fine. So here, let's just delve into a couple little. This is funny because you can be off screen.
All right.
Which way
To the
should
audience, I have to say, this call was at 5:30. I had a big snack at 5 o'clock, but it's already 7, and I'm hungry.
That's all right. Don't worry about it. It's all right. That's the casualness. You know, this is live TV. You know, Marshall would have freaked out. In the 50s, live TV in New York City, Elia Kazan, you know, directing Ernest Borgnine and these Patty, you know, big time playwrights. This is what it is. We're live TV. The whole world could be watching this live.
Are there people watching us right now?
I don't know. It doesn't matter because as soon as it's done, then we watch and it says 10 views, 20 views, you know.
All right.
So here we go. Which way should toilet paper come off the roll? Over or under?
Depends on which way you put the toilet paper on the toilet roll.
I know. Well, which way do you like it to go? Over or under?
Over.
You have a preference. Why?
Well, we're getting pretty intimate here.
Well, I throw the question in because people hear all these philosophical questions and they need a little. Here's some other fun questions.
As my father used to say, Bob, you can think great thoughts. A philosopher is walking down the street, thinking great thoughts, looking up in the sky, and there's a sewer plate that's taken off the sewer. And the great philosopher walks down the street, falls into the sewer, and even though he had great thoughts, he's still covered with shit.
Oh my God! Do you have ESP? Do you think you have ESP a little?
Maybe.
Okay, you got it. The next question is: if you were in a vat of vomit up to your neck and someone threw a bag of shit at your face, what would you do?
Jump up.
Oh my God, I've never had that answer. You know, my favorite answer, Bob, is what I always call the most important thing in Marshall. One of the most important things Marshall ever wrote was the intro to Mechanical Bride, where he talks about Poe's short story, Descent in the Maelstrom. So I asked this cute woman on the Venice boardwalk once, if you were in a vat of vomit up to your neck, someone threw a bag of shit at your face, what would you do? She goes, I'd take the velocity of the bag of shit and use it to swoop my way out of the vat of vomit. I said, that's the descent into the maelstrom.
Right, exactly.
It is. Okay, a publisher wants to release your autobiography. Off the top of your head, what would the title be?
Bob Logan, scientist, humanist, and dancer.
They want to scent the glue in the binding. What smell?
I don't understand the question.
The glue in the binding, you open the book up and there's some smell that would leak out of the glue of the binding, like a smell would come out of the glue.
Yeah.
What smell would you want the book, your autobiography, to?
Oh, what smell?
What smell would it exude?
Okay. Roses.
And then what color would you have other than black ink on some of the pages?
Blue.
If a statue was built in your honor, where would you want it displayed and what would it be made of?
Well, it would be made of marble.
And where?
Um, in front of the physics building. And in front of the coach house.
Oh, I love that.
In front of the
Okay,
coach house at St. Michael's College.
I love that.
But only if there was a bigger statue of Marshall beside me.
Oh, that is beautiful. Bob, it's so, isn't it great that Andrew's releasing those Coach House tapes?
Yeah.
You must be. Can you recognize your voice in them?
I didn't hear that.
The Andrew is releasing these rare Coach House.
Oh, yeah.
And can you recognize who's talking? Because the sound's a little low on the participants. But can you?
I haven't had a chance to listen to them yet. But they're from 1973, which is the year before I met Marshall.
Oh, okay, I see. Okay, now here's 5 quick. We're almost done. 5 quick Alan Watts questions, just in 1 or 3 words, really brief. Just
Okay.
off the top of your head. Who started it all?
Bacteria.
Are we going to make it?
Yes.
Where do we put it?
We don't put it. We take care of it.
Beautiful. Who's cleaning it up?
Everyone.
Is it serious?
I didn't hear.
Is it serious?
Of course, it's serious.
Very good. That was super. One of the best I ever had on the Alan Watts. Couple more questions. Please tell me something good you never had, but you never want.
$1 billion.
So you know the 3 answers I get the most? Money, fame, and heroin.
Oh my God.
Is that wild? Okay. Joseph Beuys, you know the great artist, he wrote an extra chapter to Finnegan's Wake. His mantra was make the secrets productive. Lou Welsh, beat poet, ad man, said, guard the secrets, constantly reveal them. But it was Thornton Wilder, a total Finnegan's Wake head, 1928. Art is confession. Art is the secret told. But art is not only the desire to tell one's secret, it's the desire to tell it and hide it at the same time. Bob, you laid your cards on the table for the last 90 minutes. I'm not insinuating you haven't already answered this, but what's it really all about for you?
To enjoy life, to love my family, my friends, to keep exploring, probing, and having conversations like this one.
Beautiful. How do you explain your longevity? More genes, DNA, or more lifestyle choice? I know it's both, but can you say, what do you tend to say more?
I'm blessed with both. I can't choose.
Can't choose. Yeah.
It's like asking me, which of my children do you love the most?
Right. Yeah. 2 more questions. We're out of here, Bob. This has been truly enlightening. I really appreciate your time. What's the cultural shift you see developing today that inspires you?
People telling the truth.
Well, let's do a side one. Buñuel said, I'm for anyone who seeks the truth, but I part ways when they claim they found it.
I agree with that.
But if the cliche is the journey is more important than the destination, why do we even have to name a destination or have a destination if the journey's more important?
I don't have a destination.
That is good.
I'm enjoying the journey.
That is good. Last question, Bob. Thank you. What gives you the most optimism?
My children.
That's where the answer I get the most is youth, children. That's beautiful. But here's the bonus question. Summarize how Marshall shaped your behavior.
He didn't shape my behavior, but he enhanced the richness of my life.
But what does that mean deep down inside? Like, you know, how was your relationship with him? Could you joke with him
Oh, we
and
joked all the time, of course.
right.
Ask the question again. Maybe I'll come up with a better answer.
How did Marshall shape your behavior?
Well, he shaped
You
my
know,
behavior in the sense that he stimulated me to think about uh, the way technology impacts us, the way in which systems operate. So I learned a lot from him, and it paid dividends in the work that I was able to do with him and after him.
yeah, beautiful. Well, I'm glad we talked, Robert K. Logan. It's been an honor and a pleasure. Thank you so much. I'll definitely write some articles with you for explorations and do whatever we can to carry the project forward.
Good idea. Good idea. You'll send me the link for next Wednesday.
I'm going to send you the link for this show and the link for next Wednesday, but you won't get the link for next Wednesday until closer to Wednesday.
Okay, but let me put in my calendar. What time is it?
It's 8:45 every Wednesday morning our time. So that would be 11:45 your time, right?
Correct.
Yeah, 11:45
Oh
a.m.
my God. Well, next Wednesday I have a medical appointment at 11 o'clock.
Right. So you would just be on the list every week I'll
So
set. But we do tetrads too every I could just put you on my e-blast list. We do tetrads every Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday at 1:30. That would be 3:30 your time. Wait, 1:30, 2:30, 3:30. That would be 4:30 your time. Every Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday at 4:30. And then
all
every
right,
Saturday.
could you send me that information in an
Yeah,
email?
I'm gonna send you an email with all and we do
All right.
Finnegan's. We
On
do
on this coming Wednesday, I have a 3 o'clock appointment,
yeah,
and I'm going to be tied up till about 5. So I don't
yeah.
think I'll make that session. But I'll after that I'll be happy to join.
Yeah, no, it's fun. You'll love our group. It's really diverse and there are people all over the world. And every Saturday we meet for 90 minutes and we just have a ball. And I've asked all these questions to Eric, to Andrew Mcluhan, to all these people that Paulo has on, lots of people, lots of your peers. They've answered all these same stupid questions and had fun.
So my father, if he were here, would ask you the following question.
Go. I'm
I'll say
ready.
it first in Yiddish and then I'll say it in English.
Okay.
From das du machst a Leben. From this you make a living.
I've got a great comeback. From this, you make a living. Uh, no, I do nothing effectively. No, I'm not a trustafarian either. I had jobs. I'm older now, retired. I'm on Social Security. I don't have a lot of expenses. I
Right?
do I interview people to have fun and to learn and share.
That's
So
good. What did
yeah.
you do when you were working?
Well, I've been sort of an artist, but I never made my life living being an artist. I worked for Frank Zappa for 10 years, and I've sort of worked in the film business and music business on the fringe. I'm like an avant. I'm like Marshall was a put on artist who put on events. And I do that. I put on events
All right.
and I'm a put on artist, but I'm also an avant garde archivist. So I archive the avant gardely.
Well,
So
God bless you. It's been a pleasure to talk with you.
it's really good, Bob. And thank God we met in person because I don't know if we'll ever have that chance again at a meat ecology up in San Francisco area.
Right.
Yeah.
When we were on the boat.
We were on the boat of all time. We had a whole fun time there. That's when I asked Eric.
I remember you from then.
Yeah, and I asked Eric Mcluhan what he thought of Marshall calling Finnegan's Wake the Black Mass.
That was one of the highlights of Eric Mcluhan's later life. That because he was there with his 3 kids.
Oh, that was wonderful. I met Andrew then, and Andrew's doing such a great job too.
Yes, and there was also Emily and Anna.
Yeah. Yep. It's good that.
Do you have any contact? Oh, wait, Emily and I guess they're in LA, not in San Francisco.
These are whose children? Emily and Anna are who?
Eric Mcluhan's children.
Oh, Eric's. I didn't know. I don't know them. If they're in LA, we got to meet because I'm in touch with Andrew. I asked Andrew all these questions just
Well,
about a
just
month.
ask him about his sisters.
I will. Yeah.
They live in California, but you live in San Francisco, right?
No, I live in Venice in LA.
You
Yeah.
live in Venice in LA.
Well, I live in Venice, but it's really part of LA.
Right.
Yeah. It's where Marshall came and hung out here in 1980, just before he died.
So I think Eric's daughters are in LA.
I will ask Andrew about it right
Ask
now.
them. Maybe they're in San Francisco. I don't know.
I'll figure it out and get in touch. Okay, Bob, thanks
All the
again.
best. God bless you.
Love you, dude. That was really fun. Here we go.
All right.
Hit the red button and it's going to cut us off.